Should we really tie ourselves to one character as gamers? Do you know what I mean? It's great, it works. There's so many things, and it's as old as storytelling itself. But is that what we should be doing right now with this? So many people saying to us, can we play Optimus? Can we play Mega? I want to be Bumblebee. And, you can't just tune that stuff out. Yeah, well, it's called the Generations Continuity, and once upon a time we were very aligned with Transformers Prime, and the genesis of the whole project was a much more sort of Prime-based, very traditional MMORPG. And as we've evolved, and with Alex and everything we're doing with the game, we've sort of created our own style that's much more aligned with, as I was saying, something they call Transformers Generations. And what's very, very important to us is we make something that feels right for gamers as well as Transformers fans, rather than being a game where we borrowed a piece of the IP and wrapped a game around it. It's about playing, obviously it's a multiplayer, faction-based competitive game with your friends. We don't want to create the most, I certainly don't want to create the most sort of hardcore competitive environment. I don't think that would be appropriate for something to do with Transformers, or actually for the spirit of what we're about at Jagex. But as you see, there's quite a lot of depth to that game, there's quite a lot to learn, but I like to be able to play with our kids, whilst the guys I work with in the office who've spent all the time could go and knock themselves out and play the hardest core ranked PvP if that's what they want to do. So we've got a really neat mechanism where you can take control of some characters who aren't immediately in your stable. That's all I want to say right now. We can take that as far as we want to take it. And it's your decision making. You're deciding what to do, and it's almost like a bit like being a sports manager. If it was basketball or something for the Americans, like who are you going to put on the field, who are you going to keep on the bench. Except we're playing together. We're going to decide who we're going to play, and that just seemed like the best sort of paradigm for me. I know it sounds a little bit RTS-y, like give them instructions and they'll do things. I mean, you're directly controlling these guys, but that's the paradigm. You're out of them. You're not a transformer. That's not your avatar right there. That's the character's play. So I suppose like League talk about a summoner, we're a commander. Transformers is about all of these different characters, all their styles, and it's just like what's the right thing to do? We're coming out of MMORPG, and it's like, you know what, ending up somewhere in a sort of trading card sort of space where you sort of got all these different styles of characters to play in Command, and I'll play my guy against your guy and we see who, it just seemed too good a fit and too natural, and it was at a time in an era when we were looking at what was going on around us from the permadeath of world of tanks and collecting different tanks through what League of Legends were doing, even Skylanders, when when you think of a toy, and for me there was that spirit of Transformers as well. Look, I want these different guys I can role play with and play with. So it seemed like the right thing to do. I mean, even Grand Theft Auto has moved to a game where you can play 3 different characters. So it certainly seems to be in the it's the contemporary thing to do. We weren't anxious to jump on with that. It was just a natural fit, really. This is what ties into that. It opens. Being able to control and command multiple carriers opens up these avenues that otherwise just wouldn't work. And for me, if you want to handle guys like, we're a free-to-play, microtransaction-y game. I wanted a mechanism where it was a reward and so on, and an honor and a privilege to get to play these guys. There won't be money attached to them. It's a true privilege, and for you to be able to rock out on the battlefield one of these guys in front of everyone else, that's pretty powerful.
And you'll see that in the narrative that we created too. You'll see some elite Transformers, which is what we call the well-known Transformers, play out in our story, in our narrative, alongside a bunch of new Transformers that we've created too, and then we'll take that concept through into game as well.
Yeah. At the core, we're an item sales game, but those items are, I mean, it's more to give it a label. It's more of a heroes model, really. Transformers themselves, the Transformers warriors that you collect and put in your stable, they are the key item that you're striving to buy. And as I said, it's like you can buy all of them if you want. You just got to know what you want to do with them. They don't represent power. Amassing a lot of them doesn't make it more powerful in itself. So we're very, very big on the democratization of that. The game is not a race. It's not a race to collect everything, do everything. It's what you want to do with it. And another thing that's very important to us, you see this in RuneScape as well, is really to provide It's not grind, so to speak, but other ways of attaining these things, because I'm really big on that sort of democratization. I come from a philosophy that not everyone's got the money to play these games, and then there's other people, you know, if you believe in our game, you'll put some money into it. If not, play on, earn some stuff, unlock it, you're all part of our community, and that's what's the most important thing to us.
Basically, you know, this is the game's campaign based. So, you know, we've set up a narrative and a backstory that's the jumping off point for the game, and we've given the game context in regards to the characters you are and the maps that you can play on. Depending on which way the game swings, there's going to be different outcomes, and we're going to take those outcomes and we're going to look at what our next campaign will be, which in television terms is our next season, and we can bend and shape our stories going forward. We're really excited about the idea of potentially going off into space, being on a planet, maybe playing with time potentially. So we have these opportunities with an ongoing online game that you wouldn't necessarily get in a more linear structure.
We want to be working on new content constantly. Yeah. We're not sure on what the cadence of our season structure is and how that's going to work, but we have our release content in place, and then within a series that's going to open up more content depending on Autobot and Decepticon victories. I mean, one of the things we've done initially with the story is essentially, and this is going to play out in the story media we release, we've kind of had to level the playing field between the two factions, and that's been quite interesting. No one's at an advantage now. They're both on their own doing their thing. Battlefield's Earth, but we don't know where it's going to go from here. They're currently both planning. There's a few clues in the story of where we could be going and the different armies they're trying to bring together and take it to the next level.